That's fatal.
How's it going, Fatal family? In today's video, I got some new WWE 2K24 news to talk about, as well as an update on a previous story. And I want to talk about possible superstars we can see in WWE 2K24 as base roster additions or DLC. So first things first, let's dive into some news which won't really be any surprise to all of you, but CM Punk will be in WWE 2K24. With his insane return at Survivor Series, it's no surprise that WWE probably contacted 2K to quickly get CM Punk low-capped for WWE 2K24. It's not looking like CM Punk is going to be in the base roster, but more so DLC, which is no surprise because he is going to be a big seller for his DLC pack. He's probably going to be front and center for his DLC pack, and overall it could help the sales of the season pass in general. BWE, also known as Boozer, who's a known WWE insider and has a solid track record for confirming stories, tweeted out hashtag DLC Punk 24. Now BWE, Boozer, has his Twitter private, so he has to accept you as a follower to see his tweets, but luckily someone from my Discord follows him so they can see his tweets. And BWE pretty much confirms that CM Punk will be DLC in WWE 2K24 and not in the base roster, which is kind of a bummer, but hey, at least we're getting CM Punk in a wrestling game once again after what, 9, almost 10 years? The last time we seen CM Punk in a WWE game was WWE 2K15, and the most recent time we've seen him in a wrestling game is AEW Fight Forever, but we don't talk about that game. Now, BWE also broke the story that WWE 2K24 is going to be doing a Bray Wyatt tribute in some form, whether it was going to be a showcase or Bray Wyatt on the cover, which is more so what I thought was going to happen, you know, like Bray Wyatt being on the cover of a deluxe edition. Well, it looks like BWE actually has an update when it comes to that Bray Wyatt story. Someone on X asked BWE this question right here. Any news on what's going on with Bray Wyatt in WWE 2K24? BWE, Boozer, replied with, unfortunately, they didn't go with it due to time, very possible for 25. So it looks like we're not going to get a Bray Wyatt tribute in any form, whether it's a cover tribute or a showcase tribute or some sort of tribute. It looks like we're not getting that in WWE 2K24 due to time constraints, which honestly could be a good thing, because imagine if they rushed a Bray Wyatt tribute and it turned out to be like very bad. That would just be a slap in the face. So if 2K saw this time constraint as not doing a Bray Wyatt tribute justice, and they decided to postpone it for 2K25, I commend them for that. That doesn't mean we won't have Bray Wyatt in the game. We're most likely still going to have Bray Wyatt and maybe the many faces of Bray Wyatt playable in 2K24, probably in the base roster, but any sort of tribute that was planned is not going to happen anymore. And I will keep you guys updated if BWE hears anything else about it. So that's pretty much all the news and updates when it comes to WWE 2K24. CM Punk's going to be in the game, and Bray Wyatt tribute no longer happening. Now, staying on the topic of the WWE 2K24 roster, who else can we see in 2K24? Well, SmackDown Hotel made a great WWE 2K24 roster prediction list, going through the superstars who debuted in NXT or have been in NXT and hasn't made their wrestling game debut yet, going through the superstars that have recent legend contracts, etc. So let's go through this list and see who SmackDown Hotel thinks will be in WWE 2K24. By the way, I made a video about my roster predictions for 2K23, and I got majority of them right. I think only some of them didn't make it, but check out the video, link in description, to see who I thought would be in 2K23 and how much of it I got right. So for base roster superstars, the first superstar that SmackDown Hotel thinks will be in the game is Bronson Reed. And that makes a lot of sense because Bronson Reed was supposed to be in WWE 2K22, but I think he got released, so he didn't make the cut. But his model was still in the game, and if you had the PC version, you were able to play as him. But if you were on console, you couldn't play as him. And then eventually his file just got completely wiped out of the game due to different updates. But Bronson Reed was going to be in 2K22. Next, of course, is Carlito. You know, he made his return at Backlash, officially got signed to WWE. Now he's on regular television. And I'm very excited to finally play as Carlito again in my WWE games. The last time we seen him in a wrestling game was SmackDown vs. Raw 2010. Next up is Chelsea Green. It's no surprise that she's probably going to be in the base roster. She's been killing it on the regular programming. I love her character, it's hilarious, so I would be happy to see her make her WWE games debut. Next up, we have Dragon Lee. Again, Dragon Lee is being pushed heavily right now on the main roster, you know? When he initially got signed to WWE, he wanted to stay in NXT and pretty much help that talent out, but he was just too good that they had to push him to the main roster because they're like, there's no way we're going to keep your talent in NXT. We have to push you to the main roster, and he's getting a really good push here. Even though he did lose to Santos, but hey, he just made it to the main roster, and he already had a match on a major PLE, so good job for Dragon Lee, and again, I'm excited to play as him in a wrestling game. Also, having Dragon Lee in your wrestling game, just imagine the moveset that you can play around with. Next up is Isla Dawn. She didn't make it in 2K23, so it's probably a given she will make it in 2K24. Of course, we have the major signing of Jade Cargill. the second major superstar that made the jump from AEW to WWE alongside of Cody Rhodes and of course later on CM Punk. The only way to play as Jade Cargill in a wrestling game is of course AEW Fight Forever, but again, we don't talk about that game. I could definitely see Jade make it into the base roster. There was definitely plenty of time to already get her scanned and ready for the base roster. I wouldn't be surprised if they made her DLC, but I think because there's so many other potential superstars to be DLC, they're probably going to decide to put her into the base roster. Regardless of how we see her in the game, she will definitely be in the game. Next up is Kairi Sane. She just returned from her injury. The last game we seen her in was 2K20. Next up, of course, is Maxine Dupree. She has been active on the roster. She has been active with Alpha Academy, but yet she has not been in a wrestling game yet. So I would be happy to see her make her wrestling game debut with 2K24. Of course, another superstar that recently returned this year, Nia Jax. The last time we saw Nia Jax was in 2K22, so not too long ago, but we can definitely probably see her in 2K24. Next up is Odyssey Jones. Odyssey Jones has not made his WWE Games debut yet. The reason why we can see him in the base roster is because he is in the game WWE Supercard. The next superstar we can see in the base roster is Sangha. We have Veer and Shanky in 2K23, so it would make sense to have Sangha alongside Veer in 2K24 for in this year. Next up is Tegan Nox. The last time we've seen Tegan Nox was 2K22, as well as WWE Supercard. So that right there were superstars that were either going to make their return to a WWE game or their debut to a WWE game. Now let's look at some legends that could possibly make it into WWE 2K24, whether it's base roster or DLC. The first one is Alundra Blaze. The last time we've seen her was WWE 2K19. She's also in Supercard and she's also in Battlegrounds. The next legend is Bam Bam Bigelow. Last time we've seen him was 2K19. He is also in Supercard. The next legend is Big John Studd. Last time we've seen him was WWE 2K14 and he was also in Supercard. We could possibly see Billy Graham in WWE 2K24, as he was never in a 2K game and the only wrestling games he was in were the Legend of Wrestling games, but he is in the WWE Universe mobile game roster, which means they do have a WWE Legends contract with them and could just pluck from that and put him in 2K24. Next up is Brian Knobbs. Brian Knobbs has not made it in any WWE game, but Brian Knobbs is in WWE Supercard, which means they do have a Legend contract. Next up is Brutus Beefcake. The last time we've seen him was WWE 2K20, so he could possibly return in 2K24. Next up is Bubba Ray Dudley and Devon Dudley. Now these two have a high probability of making it into 2K24. The last time we've seen them was 2K19, but they recently signed a Legends deal with WWE, so it's safe to say we will see them in 2K24. Next up is Butch from the Bushwhackers. The last time we've seen him was 2K18, and he is in WWE Supercard, so we could see him. Next up is D'Lo Brown. The last time we've seen him was WWE 2K16, and he is also in WWE Supercard. Next up, of course, is DDP. The last time we've seen him was 2K19, and he is also in WWE Supercard. Next up is Fit Finley. The last time we've seen him was 2K16, and he is also in WWE Supercard. Next up is George the Animal Steel. It's kind of crazy how George Steele was never in any of the 2K games. He was in the WWE SmackDown series, but he's also in WWE Supercard, which means that they still have a Legends contract with him. The Iron Sheik, he recently passed away, so it would make sense for him to be in 2K24. The last 2K game we seen him in was 2K16, and he's also in Supercard. Next up is Mike Rotunda. Mike Rotunda has not made it into any WWE game, no 2K game, but he is in Supercard, which means they have a Legends contract with him. And of course, he is the father of Bo Dallas and Bray Wyatt, so it would make sense to put Mike Rotunda in 2K24. Next up is Jerry Sags. Jerry Sags never made it into a WWE game or a 2K game, but like usual, he is in Supercard. Next up is Ken Shamrock. Last time we seen him was WWE 2K16, and he's also in Supercard. Of course, we have the second half of the Bushwhackers, Luke. If you're going to have Butch in the game, you're going to have to put Luke in the game. Next up, we have Mosh and Thrasher, the Headbangers. Their last game was WrestleMania 2000. They have not made it into any WWE 2K game, or WWE SmackDown game actually. But just like the Dudley Boys, they recently signed Legend contracts. So I can definitely see them making their WWE 2K debut, and it's honestly long overdue. Next up is Mr. Perfect. Last time we seen him was 2K19, and he's also in Supercard. Next up is Nikolai Volkov. We have not seen him in a WWE 2K game. He was in the WWE SmackDown games though, and he's also in Supercard. Next up is Papa Shango. Last time we seen him was 2K22, so it would make sense if they brought him back in 2K24 since he did skip a game with 2K23. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Last time we seen him was WWE 2K20, and he's also in Supercard. Next up, we have Rosie. Rosie was actually in no WWE 2K game, but he is in WWE Supercard. And the fact that 2K23 has Hurricane and Super Molly, I can see them adding Rosie in 2K24. Next up, we have Sandman. The last WWE game Sandman was in was SmackDown vs. Raw 2008, but it has been recently leaked that the Sandman will be in WWE Supercard coming soon, which means the Sandman probably now has a WWE contract, which is great to hear. Next up is the sensational Sherry. The last time we seen her was 2K16 as a manager, but she's also in Supercards, so if she is in 2K24, she's probably going to be a manager again. Next up is the legend Terry Funk. He recently passed away this year. The last game we seen him in was WWE 13, and he's also in Supercard. So it would definitely make sense to put him in 2K24 as a legend. Next up is the Great Khali. We actually seen the Great Khali recently in a WWE PLE. I believe it was the India show. And the last WWE 2K game he was in was 2K15. He's also in Supercard. And like I said, he appeared on the India PLE. So WWE definitely has a Legends deal with the Great Khali. Next up is Tori Wilson. The last time we seen her was SmackDown vs. Raw 2008. And she's also in Supercard. And of course, wrapping up all the legends, we have William Regal. The last time we seen him was 2K22. He's also in Supercard, and he recently left AEW. So it would make sense to put him back into the WWE game. Okay, so now let's look at NXT and the possible new additions from NXT that can make it into WWE 2K24 in some form or fashion, whether it's DLC or base roster. The first one is Ava Raine, Bronco Nima, Brooks Jensen, Channing Lorenzo, Charlie Dempsey, Danny Palmer, Duke Hudson, Elektra Lopez, Fallon Henley, Hank Walker, Joe Coffey, Josh Briggs, Kalani Jordan, Kiana James, Lash Legend, Lola Vice, Lucian Price, Lyra Valkyria, Mark Coffey, Miko Satomura, Oliver Carter, Sol Ruka, Tank Ledger, Thea Hale, Von Wagner, Wolfgang, and Zion Quinn. The superstars that are probably not going to make it in 2K24, or more so like don't be surprised if you don't see them in 2K24, are Aaliyah, Commander Aziz, Dana Brooke, Dolph Ziggler, Edge, Elias, Lacey Evans, Massey, Madcap Moss, Mansois, Matt Riddle, Mustafa Ali, Rick Boogs, Shanky, Shelton Benjamin, and Top Dollar. Now, some of these could still make it into WWE 2K24. It all depends on their contract and, you know, what WWE has with them internally. But don't be surprised if we don't see these superstars in WWE 2K24. So that right there is all the news I have for you guys, as well as possible WWE 2K24 roster additions. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave your roster predictions in the comments. I would love to read them. Give the video a like, subscribe, notifications on, and I'll catch you next video. Peace.